The storm was the kind that rattled windows and peeled branches from trees. The Johnsons had lived on that lonely stretch of country road for 20 years, and though storms were nothing new, this one felt different, angrier somehow, as if the sky itself wanted to tear the earth apart. By morning, the storm was gone, leaving the ditches swollen with muddy water and the fields drowned in mist. That was when they saw him. A child. He was standing barefoot at the roadside, unmoving, as if he had been waiting for them. His skin was pale as milk, smeared with streaks of dirt. His oversized shirt clung to his thin frame, and his trousers sagged around his ankles. But it was his eyes, black, glassy, unblinking, that made Mrs. Johnson freeze. "Sweetheart," she called gently, stepping forward. "Are you lost?" The boy didn't speak. He only tilted his head, slow and unnatural, like a bird considering prey. When the sheriff came, there were no answers. No missing child reports. No local family searching. The boy's fingerprints weren't in any system. After weeks of paperwork, the Johnsons were granted temporary custody. They called him Eli. At first, they tried to treat him like a normal child. They bought him clothes, toys, books. He touched none of them. He didn't cry. He didn't smile. He didn't speak a single word. When food was set in front of him, he sat and stared until it was cleared away. Yet he never weakened. His body remained strong. His skin never lost its strange, cold color. Mrs. Johnson told herself it was trauma. Mr. Johnson told himself patience would heal him. But in the quiet hours of the night, both of them wondered what kind of child could live without eating, drinking, or sleeping. Then the noises began. At first, it was only faint scratching in the walls. They blamed mice. But the scratching grew heavier, slower, like nails dragging across plaster. Sometimes, at night, they heard footsteps above them, quick and darting, though the attic was always empty when checked. And then came the whispers, faint, almost like wind, words buried in static. Sometimes, Mrs. Johnson thought she heard her name. One night, Mr. Johnson woke to find Eli standing in the hallway. The boy's head was tilted back, his black eyes fixed on the ceiling where the attic door hung. His lips trembled as if trying to form a word, but no sound came. "Eli?" Mr. Johnson whispered. The boy didn't move. When the Johnsons opened the attic the next morning, it was only dust and cobwebs. Still, the noises grew worse. Chairs shifted in empty rooms. Doors opened on their own. Picture frames turned to face the wall. Always the scratching. Always the whispers. Mrs. Johnson begged her husband to let Eli go. Take him to the church, to a hospital, anywhere. But Mr. Johnson shook his head. "He's just a boy," he said. "We can't abandon him." That night, desperate, Mrs. Johnson set up cameras around the house. When they reviewed the footage the next day, their hands shook so badly they could barely hold the laptop. The video began with Eli lying in bed, motionless, his eyes wide open in the dark. Hours passed without a blink. Then, just after midnight, his small body began to twitch. His chest rose unnaturally high, stretching and straining, as though something inside him wanted out. His mouth gaped open, wider than seemed possible. And then, his chest split. A pale, faceless figure crawled out of him like a spider emerging from an egg. It unfolded spindly, limbs, its body long and hollow, its skin gray and rippling like smoke. It stood over the boy's body for a moment, featureless head turning, then crawled to the wall and slipped inside it. The boy's body remained, hollow but breathing faintly, as though it were only a shell waiting for the creature's return. The Johnsons sat frozen. Neither spoke. The whispers seemed louder now, echoing from inside the house. That night, they heard the scratching again, louder than ever. And then, it stopped. Right outside their bedroom door, the handle began to turn. Sleep became impossible. Every night, the scratching returned. Every morning, Eli sat at the table, hands folded, eyes unblinking, as though nothing had happened. Mr. Johnson stopped going to work. He spent his days researching missing children, folklore, demonology, anything that could explain what they had seen. The deeper he searched, the more disturbing it became. Stories of hollow ones, children left behind after storms, vessels for things that wandered between worlds, parasites that lived in walls and fed on fear. Mrs. Johnson stopped entering Ellis' room. She swore she could hear breathing even when he wasn't there. One night, Mr. Johnson made a decision. He carried Eli to the car. The boy didn't resist, didn't move at all. They drove toward town in silence, the road swallowed by mist. But when they looked back at the back seat, Eli was gone. Only his clothes remained, folded neatly, as if placed by invisible hands. And then came the scratching. Inside the car. Crawling under the seats. Whispering from the vents. The Johnsons never made it to town. The next morning, their car was found abandoned on the roadside, doors open, headlights still burning. No trace of them was ever seen again. But the farmhouse still stands. And sometimes, after storms, drivers passing by swear they see a barefoot child standing in the ditch, waiting. Unblinking. Silent.